Just kidding. I came from my trailer. It's right off screen. Well, it's time to see if you've been paying attention. Get out your paper tablets. No, just kidding. But do you remember when we were talking about those tablets and stop number 3 at the murals? Well, if you don't, you do now. You see, we've come full circle to our last stop to talk about a man who was sucked up to a lot, a man who had a lot of things named after him. You see, John Chalmers Blair was the inventor of the paper tablet. Sounds crazy, right? Well, that just goes to show the impact of Blair's invention. We've become so dependent on the device that it's hard to imagine a time when it didn't exist. So how did it happen? Well, Blair first had to be born, and the stork took care of that one on November 14th, 1847. And about 30 years later, Blair was sitting around one day, stroking his fine mustache and pondering paper. He was doing so with his friend, David Emmert, who was an art professor at Juniata College. David wasn't pondering anything. He was fashioning paper together with a piece of wire. Well, Blair had confided in him about his secret desires to bind paper together. How did they succeed? With the help of his wife, Katie. Mrs. Blair had cooked up some homemade glue, and I know you're going to come after me with an angry mob when I say this, but the idea stuck. Tablets didn't sell very well at first, and Blair put a cover on them with some fancy colors, and sales took off all over the world. There's even a story of when Blair was vacationing in Switzerland one time. He had asked the front desk staff for a piece of paper. Well, the maitre d' slid him one of his own tablets. Tablets that were made in this building behind me. The Blair building was built in 1885. It was the tallest building in the day. It was the tallest building between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. So tall that they would put colored flags on the roof to alert the local residents of the weather that day. I wonder what white would have meant. The warehouse was modeled after the Marshall Field warehouse in Chicago, which that warehouse was modeled after the warehouse in the final scene of RoboCop 2. But the Blairs, they took good care of the folks that worked inside of this building. They would fund things like an employee baseball team, even an employee orchestra. They didn't have any kids, so they devoted most of their affection to the employees. So much that when Blair had finally passed away, he left provisions in his will for 39 different employees. His original employee ended up succeeding him as the next company president. The slogan read, "Many copy Blairs, but Blairs copies no one." You're still not impressed with the man? Well, put on your fallout suits because I'm about to drop a trivial atomic bomb on this pedestrian-friendly history class. The pads were for writing letters. One of the letters Blair had received read something like, "Your tablets are an unspeakable convenience, so much that they make authorship a pastime." I give you this terrible British accent to throw you off. The writer wasn't British. No, he was American. The signer of that letter was Samuel Clemens. Probably haven't heard of Samuel. Well, it's because Samuel didn't write about vampires or werewolves. Samuel didn't write about wizards growing up or goblins. No, Samuel wrote about a simple boy by the name of Huckleberry Finn and his adventures. Yeah, it was Mark Twain. Mark Twain ordered tablets that were made in this building behind me. That's a shockwave, no? No? Well, I'm being told I'm having too much fun here. I can't say anything that's going to be able to top that, so I will leave you here at the last stop at the Blair building, and I thank you for joining us on this walking tour. I hope you had a good time. Travel safe. Take care now.